Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, The Right Words Equals the Right People for Your Bottom Line. My name is Victor Dominguez, and I want to welcome you today. We do this pretty much every Tuesday. It's our webinar series for Business Performance USA. And we essentially are a mentoring, coaching, and pro bono volunteer organization. We're absolutely dedicated to helping develop people, improve processes, which improves strategic performance, because we simply want to see everyone prosper in their careers, and we want to see the companies they work for prosper as well. It's how we help support our communities. So thank you again for joining us today. And let's just start rolling along. I'm going to introduce myself here quickly. That's me on the left. I think that's obvious. And I'm the managing partner of Ligature Group. I'm also executive director of Business Performance USA. And Mary there is on the right. I'm going to tell you about Mary in just a minute, but first a little housekeeping. We do want to make sure this hour is worth your time. I'm not saying we will run a full hour, but we want to make sure this is worth your time. And so we want you to ask us questions now on the webinar, or ask us questions after the webinar. You can always get a hold of me at victor@businessperformanceusa.org. And you can ask those questions also via the questions tool on the user interface, or even just simply chat. We monitor both questions and chat features on the user interface. And that's a really good way for you to get value out of this, because your website is a tremendous investment. And we want to make sure that you get everything out of that investment and that you prosper, of course. So let me tell you a little about Mary. She's wonderful. We work with Mary, we collaborate with Mary, we volunteer with Mary. She's a wonderful person, works nationally, but is based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's the owner and founder of Design Your Site. And the technical background, Mary is we know from experience, is passionate about helping businesses solve problems using the internet. Her experience in the internet domain ranges from network engineering and data center management to information architecture, topped off with a strong dose of telecommunications. In her career, she's worked across many industries, including manufacturing, banking, education, energy, nonprofit, legal, retail, service. It's a marathon of industries here, including telecom, of course. But more so, Mary is kind of earned the moniker of cat whisperer, which follows her around, because she has the ability to view the problem that her clients are facing and see the solution from a multidisciplinary perspective. This perspective allows her to bring insightful solutions to the table and communicate them clearly in both technical and non-technical terms. So she can talk to your brilliant geeks, and she can talk to anyone else and bridge that gap. But with that, let's just move in and just start letting Mary talk, because she's really where it's all at. So Mary, I'm going to pass the baton over to you. You will see that window pop up.
Got it.
Are you in?
I believe so. So, oops. It's
Brilliant.
always getting to the right screen here. So let me just catch up with you. And I always like to tell people who might not know that a lot of times they say managing programmers is like herding cats, and that might be where the cat whisperer comes in. So I got a good kick out of that comment. Thank you, Victor. So I am the chief geek and founder of Design Your Site. I always like to let people know I've been doing this a while. I began my career in the Internet of Things before AT&T was in the Internet and before Google even existed. So I've been doing this a really, really long time, and it's fun. I love it, and I'm hoping that today I'm going to be able to help all of you out there that have questions about your website and the many varied things that can happen with it, and hopefully get you some answers today. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. We started out talking about why websites fail, but we really end up talking about what makes them successful. And one of the keys to success, and I talk to people about this, there isn't a week that goes by I don't discuss this, is that this becomes sort of the foundation for your website. And we're going to talk about the things that you need to look at to understand what's right for that. And the ultimate goal is your bottom line, whatever your overall goals are, you know, it's like, am I succeeding in those, and are they empowering my bottom line?
So Mary, if I can just jump in, because I'm a big fan of the bottom line.
Sure.
And making profits for everyone. This is what Mary's talking about, is really a tactical solution to a strategic challenge. Every business needs to look really hard at their profitable clients or customers. They're semi-profitable and ones that just frankly don't make them money. And every client I've ever worked with didn't really think of customers that cost them time and money, but many customers do. So you should always take a good look at your customer base, understand who are the most profitable ones, and then profile those individuals. Those profiles will be reflected on your website content, aka keywords as well. And those are the ones you really want to bring in. So what Mary's talking about moves from the CFO suite, if you will, in strategic targeting of most profitable customers, to what Mary's talking about today. So thanks, Mary.
Thank you. Thanks. So in that vein, we talk about why the right traffic matters. We're also going to talk about the things that you need to look at when you're defining that keyword strategy. And then we're going to talk about how you can measure the success. And in measuring the success, you can multiply it, tweak it, improve it. So that's kind of an ongoing process. So first of all, the right traffic. And I can give you a little scenario that has to do with shoes. And we all are familiar with shoes. And so if you have a website that is for ladies' fashion shoes, and you're getting traffic for somebody who's trying to research the history of shoes in the Asian world, that traffic isn't really the right traffic for your website. It's not meeting your goals. So I always like to talk about my little pachyderm friend here. I'm very, very fond of elephants, but it's a great visual representation of setting your goals specifically to what you want to achieve. So a website can do a lot of things for your company, and you have to decide if the only thing you want to do is disseminate information, if you want to generate leads, if you want to transact sales, if you want to provide resources for your customer, distributors, whoever your customer is. And the reason people do things like that, companies do things like that, is that it's a higher customer service level and a reduced in-house time on getting information back and forth to customers. So we do a lot of that. And the same way with staff. So there's a lot of things that can happen in the background of your website. And knowing what the primary goal that you're trying to achieve, which could change over time, but what you're trying to achieve in this particular effort becomes foundational for the rest of what we're going to kind of look at here today. So I look at a lot what is, you know, the effect of traffic. And for me, for most of my customers, the bottom line is how am I ranking in the search engines? That's the SERP, effect on the SERP. And so you want to make sure those business goals, these three factors, right, are being met, that they're on target, and that you're getting the right traffic. So I don't know, I wish I could do a show of hands and say how many people here know what a bounce rate is. So,
Well, we can.
A bounce rate, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to keep you in suspense forever. Go ahead, Victor.
I think it's simply, if you know what a bounce rate is, you can tell us in the chat or question feature if you want. It's an important statistic, and but Mary, go ahead.
Well, it's important for two reasons. One, it's important for you as a business owner if, let's use our scenario of shoes, and you're getting a lot of traffic for people that are researching the history of shoes in Asia. When they get to your website and see those high-heeled, stylish, crocodile-covered, bow-spangled shoes, they're going to leave quick because they're going to say, I'm not in the right place. Google has a formula for that. Of course, they're able to tweak that anytime they want, but the general rule of thumb is that they never leave your home page and that they're on the page for, I'm going to say, under 30 seconds. And that variable can change. So if someone comes to your website and they don't go any further and they don't stay there very long and they leave Google says they bounced. And they reflect that in the formula that they use to decide how you rank on their Google pages. So it affects the SERPs. The bounce rate affects the SERP, the number of people coming to your website for those specific keywords. So if you take your business goals and decide what you want to rank for, and you make sure you're not ranking for things that you don't want to rank for, you'll keep your bounce rate low, and that when people get to your website, that they're getting the information that was promised by that keyword, you're naturally going to go up in the search engine rankings. It's just a given if your website's built correctly. But there's a lot of variables that we're not going to cover here today. Today we're just talking about getting the right traffic, and so these are the elements of getting the right traffic there.
Just a quick note, Mary, and for the audience, it's not that Google is being mean, although I'll refrain from that, but Google wants to create a quality experience with their searches. So when somebody searches for leather shoes with polka dots, and Google offers a search result that doesn't readily offer leather shoes with polka dots, that's a disconnect, and Google figures the visitor, the user of their service, isn't getting a good experience, and they want people to really get immediately what they are searching for. Google considers their top value proposition as time, actually, and being efficient with people's time. So that's why your keywords that Mary's talking about have to line up with your products and services so that somebody finds your site and finds exactly what they were searching for, and therefore has a good experience and stays on that page reviewing what they wanted to find. Thanks, Mary.
Yeah, just a little bit more about that. So since I've been in the internet business since before Google, and Yahoo was actually the lead search engine back in the day, and what we found was in tracking this is that when Yahoo initially started trying to capitalize, figuring out how, we call it monetize, how to monetize on the traffic that they essentially controlled, Google came on the scene, and in the building a better mousetrap. And this, of course, in the early days was before anybody was running paid advertising along with the search engine rankings. So Google walks a fine line, they all do really, walk a fine line between making sure that they're providing the formula that gives the best search ranking for what you're using for as a user, right? They walk a fine line between that and the fact that they are also a paid advertising engine. So it's always interesting to watch and track, and they're on everyone's radar screen for their efforts. So the next part of what I said we would talk about is your keyword strategy. And I talk about this a lot because I'm going to just tell you, it's very common for someone to come to me and say, my website, I have a new website, and it's not performing. And I'll, of course, say, what do you mean not performing? Well, I'm not getting any new business from it. So there's their goal, right? And when I go and I look at, and maybe they'll say, well, my web designer says I'm ranking #1. And I'll go look at that, and I'll go do the research, because we have tools, just like a carpenter has a saw and a hammer. Search engine optimization people have tools for, and I'll address that a little bit. And I'll go look at it, and they'll be ranking #1 for their domain name. Everyone ranks #1 for your domain name because it's unique. Nobody else has it. And so there's a clear lack of understanding there of what that person's true needs are between the web designer and the business owner. So what I have here, the things that I think are really important when you're evaluating your keyword strategy, is that you have what I call real-world, measurable keywords. and I have a little picture in the background. This is a real client, and you can tell very clearly that this client is about wedding dresses in Tulsa, and you can see their domain name, bridalelegancetulsa.com. They rank #1 for that. Nobody's typing it in. It doesn't, unless they're using advertising to drive traffic. People aren't typing it in as a search query. And so when I say real-world measurable results, if whoever you're working with for search engine optimization has access to these tools, there are multiple tools out there in the market that they can use. And what I'll tell you is that, of course, Google has the mothership database because they've got so much. They've got probably 70% of all searches go through them. So you can get those numbers from Google. You can get them from some of these third-party providers who are building their own. What you'll see, and I always try to check them in both worlds, like in Google and another provider, to get sort of a sanity check. And you'll see a little bit of a variance, but you won't see anything off the charts. A lot of times for the keywords that have under 10, it's just so few that it doesn't register and nobody counts them. There may be some that are getting 1 or 2, but under 10 is considered so few that it's not, unless you're in a very, very small market, it doesn't make sense to target it. So what I do is I sit down with clients, I do this initial analysis, and I say, this is what I found, and this is what I think we should target, and I give them my reasons why, and we get into agreement about what keyword phrases that we are going to target for the goals that they've put in place. So again, we're keeping our goals in mind. We certainly don't want to put in this particular instance, I always have to think of an example. We certainly don't want to put in groomswear, because she doesn't carry any groomswear at all. She does provide bridesmaid dresses and flower girl, mother of the bride. But when we looked at her goals, that's a very small percentage of her business. And this is what Victor was pointing to a little bit earlier when he was talking about where does 80% of your revenue come from. And if you use the Pareto principle, you'll find that 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of your customers. So I always try to help customers figure out where that is and help them define what they want to target. So we're not trying to get the whole pachyderm. We're trying to get them the business that brings them the highest revenue. The third thing I always like to couch with people is a lot of times people around the internet, I call it the field of dreams theory, that they think if I build it, they will come, right? Wrong. So you have to have reasonable expectations. You build a website, you do everything the way you're supposed to, you do your keyword strategy, and then you wait. So I'm not a fan of having people do 6 things, right? Let's get that strategy in place. It's the foundation of your house, and we'll put it out there to the search engines, and then we wait for them to respond, because we have no guarantees for the search engines. We wait for them to respond, and I'm always gratified when I have a client that I launched their website in less than a month. They're ranking #1 for, and I'm usually focused on their top 3 keyword phrases. And then you'll see movement, right? They might bounce to the top, and then they'll shuffle down, and there's this settling period. So you can liken that to taking a glass of water with sand in it and shaking it up, and then you set it down, and that sand eventually settles to the bottom. Or in this case, with Google, we want to settle to the top. The cream would rise to the top. And so we kind of, couch people, let's wait through this settling period before we take another step, because we don't really want to have the client invest money in doing something until we're sure what needs to be done. So to me, that's logical, but I mean, if somebody has any questions about that, I'm more than happy to address them. Okay.
All good so far, Mary.
So, okay, yeah, just stop me, Victor, if somebody shoots out a question so I know. So the third part of this what I really want you to understand about getting that right traffic to your site is what I call measuring success. And I talked about that a little bit before when I showed, we have tools. And so the things that I think are most important to measure, of course, is the traffic. I probably should have put keywords in here. It's really, when I'm measuring it, I'm seeing how much traffic we're getting for those keywords. And there's always going to be a lot of other peripheral traffic that gets filtered into there, but I really focus on those keywords that we're trying to build for. And the bounce rate, which I talked about a little bit. I want to make sure that you understand that that bounce rate, and let's say I like to see it under 50%. It depends on how much traffic you're getting to the site, but I like to see it under 50%. And if I see it climbing up, I have to try to go figure out what's causing that. Because if 80% of the people that are coming to your website are leaving, you're going to start dropping in the search engine rankings. And, being on the first page of Google is great. Being number one on Google gets you about 70% of the clicks of the people who put that keyword in. And the rest of that page gets to share with that other 30%. So, being number 1, 2, and 3 are the highest click-through rates. So that bounce rate will cause you to shift down, and we want to avoid that. The other thing that's really important as we're measuring results is figuring out how long they stay. What's kind of related to bounce rate, but they've gone off to another page, and we're trying to see how much information are they taking in before they make a decision to take action. And taking action is your goals. So we can set up an event in your website when a user goes there and transacts with that event, whether it's a button or a form, or there's just a lot of ways to do it. When they transact with that event, then we tell Google, I'm really tongue-tied, I apologize. We tell Google that is a goal, and when that happens and registers, they track it for us. So with these analytics, I can see who all completed goals, how much traffic it took to get that goal, the people who completed the goal, how long did they stay, what keyword did they come from, things like that. And that helps us tweak our message so that we're getting more of that traffic, getting people to stay on the right amount of time, and getting them to take that goal, that next step of the goal. And sometimes that goal ends up for a business owner in generating an email to you. Sometimes it ends up, which you have to respond to. We do autoresponders, but at the end of the day, you need to follow up on that. That's a lead, and or pick up the phone and call. And so I always tell business owners, I can get you the traffic, I can get you the conversions, but when the bottom line is you still have to make the sale. The statistics and go ahead.
I do have a question. It's kind of related to goals, so I'll jump it in now. Let me jump over to it. Question is, quote, what role does anticipation play when considering near-term trends for your design and change process, end quote.
So I'm not sure I fully understand that question. Anticipation, what role does anticipation play?
Well, I'll infer anticipation would be the ability to correlate data and intuition about what's going to happen. So data that you're getting from your traffic, intuition about trends, both internet user trends, the time spent on page, also trends within the products and services that you're offering. For instance, you see that leather shoes with polka dots is an emerging trend, so you want to quickly get it into your product mix and market that. So, I'll think of it this way: is the website is a living, breathing entity, right? It's not static and shouldn't be static. So you need to have it adapt quickly to trends that you're seeing with your traffic trends that you're seeing in consumer and buying habits, trends you're seeing in business. So,
you will see those trends in your analytics. You'll see those trends, and of course there's other measurements that you can go out to find them. But that's one of the things that you'll see in your analytics. You'll say, why am I getting all this traffic for leather polka dot shoes? You know, and you can adapt to that. Or you can say, I'm not going to sell polka dot shoes. It's, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to the business owner where they want to market themselves. But those things will show up. And then, of course, you know, there's a lot of things that might not show up for people that move around from market to market, and they're not specifically focused on shoes. They actually focus on products that are trending, and so they'll, you know, handle that. But they go out and they look at what's trending and what's hot, and they have to monitor those markets to stay on top of that. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. I think it's
all right. So
getting on top of trends and getting in front of them. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And you know, if you have more, whoever posted that question, if you want to talk about that more, and you at the end of the webinar, my phone number and email address are out there, and I'm always more than happy to talk to people about, you know, what's going on with the internet and how things work. So I'm available for that.
Well, I think just in the closing thought that staying ahead of trends, being able to anticipate them and having your website reflect them is a key competitive advantage where even a small company can take on the big guys and grab market share before they have the ability to catch up. So if you're a small company, you're in a small boat, but you can turn quickly. The big companies are in big steamers and they can't turn quickly. So you want to look at your website as a competitive advantage to be highly responsive in interacting, engaging your customers, communicating to them, not just a one-way communication. So you want to bring people that come into your website, build data on them, profile them, and mostly have a dialogue and interaction with them. And all of that takes anticipation, being able to anticipate who's going to come to your website and what kind of interactions you're going to have with them. That's another key part of interaction or anticipation in being able to deliver a really good customer experience. Just my thoughts.
Right. Well put. So staying on the measure what works, this is a screenshot of some Google Analytics. You can extend it out. This is extended out of over almost a year. We look at, we encourage people to look at where they're coming from. And when I say that, I mean by what tools they're using, whether it's a mobile device, whether it's a specific browser. We sort of keep a pulse on that. We keep a pulse on the traffic and the bounce rates. There are thousands of analytics. We also keep a pulse on the total amount of traffic to conversions. So, you know, that's just a measurement of trying to fine-tune that and get a higher conversion rate for the same amount of traffic. So I think the three things that we talked about, and I'd like to go backward in my slide, but it would just be disconcerting, are, you know, making sure you're focused on the right goals, make sure that those goals and that keyword strategy have alignment for your company, and then measure success and tweak and refine it to continue to improve it. That'll get the right traffic. If you're focused on those things, that'll get the right traffic to your site, and you should get some conversions of whatever type you're looking for. And I really appreciate everyone being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
So, Victor, do I need to hand this back over to you? Okay.
No, not well. I do have another question. How does one perform a keyword search? So, in other words, and for the rest of the audience, let me clarify what that question means, what it's about. The keywords in general, of course, are what people put into the search field on Google and Bing and all the other search engines. It could be leather, polka dot shoes, or whatever you may be looking for. Those are keywords. But how does one find out what the mass public is searching for? How do you do your research on determining keywords that fit your business?
So Google has a free tool for that in their Google, I forget, they keep changing the name of it, and they aggregated it in with their Google AdWords. It's primarily, you know, in their mind, the primary function is for you to help you find the right AdWords to purchase. So through a process of research where you can go there and start playing around with keywords and looking for success and results. There's that, and then there are paid, you know, I have tools that there's a software that I pay for that we use to do that research, and so it's not uncommon for us, by the time we've developed a keyword strategy for a customer, to have, you know, 15 to 20 hours in developing that. So it's not like a quick and dirty, I'm going to grab that keyword. You can grab them and you can go after that in that way. You have to get them, you know, make sure you're doing the right things with your website to get those keywords to have the proper effect with the search engines. But yeah, the tools are out there, and like I said, Google has a free one for people who want to go do that for themselves.
Well, I recommend they do, but is it not it's a laborious effort up front, like you said, about 20 words, but it's also a maintenance issue where one should be researching keywords, I would think, on a frequent basis, certainly once a month, but perhaps even if you really want to stay on top of trends. I mean, keywords probably change and fluctuate by the hour, do they not?
It depends, really. You know, you can see a fluctuation. Example, let's talk about a fence company. So in the winter, not very many people Googling wanting to build a fence or repair a fence. Air conditioning, not happening in the winter. Heat and air, happening in the summer. So it depends on how seasonal what you have is. Every industry has a peak season. For wedding dresses, for some crazy reason, it's January. So those will fluctuate over time, and you do need to be aware of them, but they don't necessarily go away. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you for that. And I'm scanning any last questions or chats, comments. So Mary, if you could jump to the last slide, I believe.
Okay, no problem. Thank you all very much, especially for the questions. I love that part.
That's why we're here. Again, here's Mary's contact information. I do encourage you to reach out and talk to her. This is why we're here, to help, again, help your business grow and prosper so everyone can succeed. Now, also next week, July 28th, we have a webinar by Cynthia Stewart, a co-founder of Business Performance USA, wonderful person. The topic is awesome meetings, and I really encourage you to attend this. And think about this. I saw a quote the other day that, you know, people in a company may have to get a sign off if they're going to purchase an item for $500. But nobody thinks twice when somebody calls a meeting and invites 10 people and that meeting runs 2 hours. Think about the cost of that meeting. Effective meetings aren't just a cost saver, but they also create a targeted focus for aligning people's actions with the strategic plan. It's the opportunity to collaborate, to share ideas. It's the opportunity to reveal how relationships are working within a company. It's an opportunity to watch the body language of how people are responding to new ideas and concepts and challenges. Meetings, I mean, it's almost, who doesn't hate meetings? But what a shame that is. How effective could your business be if your meetings were concise and empowering and inspirational and just downright effective? So this is what Cynthia is really good at. I sum up Cynthia Stewart as one word, and that's quality. Quality and execution, quality, the entire quality movement. I can just sum it up as that. So please join us July 28th. Awesome meetings, and you'll get to meet Cynthia Stewart, and she's just terrific. So in closing, you can always become a member. You can go to businessperformanceusa.org, look for that blue button with the B. That is our pollinator bee. We encourage people to pollinate and collaborate. And click on that, fill out some very basic, simple questions, and voila, you are a member. And being a member of Business Performance USA is complimentary, but it's the ideal place for you to interact with us, continue your dialogue. Wouldn't it be nice to have people you can brainstorm with and ask questions with as challenges come up at work? That's why we're here. So thank you for your time. I'm Victor Dominguez. You got to meet Mary Putnam today. My two other partners, Cynthia Stewart and Dr. Jeff Stewart, have participated in the production of this, and thank you for their efforts. And we're closing out. So thanks again, everybody, and make it a great day. Be well.